Time. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just make up for it on the back end.
Everybody else has, why not you?
Let me also try to sort of level set not just the conversation we're having here today, but why we're having it here. Despite the slimmest of majorities in the House of Representatives, Republicans are effectively saying to President Biden and to Senate Democrats and the American people that we must either accept their ransom demands or they'll force the country to default on its debt for the first time in history. Let's be clear that the hostage they're taking or threatening to take isn't the federal government. It's the American people, including their own constituents. A default would plunge our economy into recession. All the economists have established that, costing millions of American jobs, increasing loan payments for working families on everything from their homes to cars to student loans, and threatens to cut Social Security and health care payments as a result. So much of what we're discussing here today, as big and significant as it may sound, is frankly only scratching the surface of what the country will face should Republicans refuse to allow the federal government to meet its obligations. Let me ask questions about some of the specifics. So as we saw during a recent hearing with OMB Director Shalonda Young, Republicans take great offense at the idea that they would cut Social Security and Medicare. And yet, because of this manufactured crisis that would result in seniors not receiving their Social Security and Medicare benefits that they have paid into their entire life and they have earned, a default would keep the federal government from actually paying them out. Mr. Zandi, can you describe the implications for Social Security and Medicare if the federal government defaults on its debts?
Of course, it would be devastating. I mean, the first thing that would happen is people wouldn't receive their checks on time. They'll eventually get the money, but it'll take longer and longer for that to occur, the longer that the impasse continues. Obviously, the hit to financial markets would be serious immediately. In fact, that's already going to start to happen even before we breach the debt limit, because investors are going to anticipate the breach. Stock prices will decline, interest rates will rise, and of course that undermines the financial well-being of all Americans, but most significantly those retirees that are going to count on that. And then ultimately it's going to cost jobs, the economy, income, and that will affect obviously all Americans in the entire global economy, and Social Security recipients, Medicare recipients would be casualties like everybody else as a result of that.
Right. Now, I was planning to raise an issue of veterans, and I'm glad that Senator Marshall made reference to it in his remarks, because my understanding is that nowhere in the House Republicans' Default on America Act does it say that veterans' benefits are exempt from the 22% cut in domestic spending, right? So we covered Social Security, covered Medicare. Now let's talk about veterans' benefits. It would have been perfectly straightforward to write such an exemption in the bill. In fact, House Democrats offered 2 amendments in the House Rules Committee to protect veterans' benefits from spending cuts. And as we watched that committee do its work, we saw House Republicans vote down those offered amendments. They did, however, rewrite the bill to protect ethanol subsidies. So it seems pretty clear to me that House Republicans made a conscious choice to subject veterans' benefits to their spending cuts, despite protests to the contrary. Back to you, Mr. Zandi. Can you identify a provision in the Default on America Act that would exempt veterans' benefits from the spending cuts proposed by House Republicans?
Not that I'm aware of. The cuts are to total discretionary spending. So that would include defense, non-defense VA benefits. So that would be determined in the appropriations process. But in the legislation, I'm not aware of any language related to the VA program.
Right, no. Exactly. And look, Mr. Chairman, in the interest of time, I can go on and on with other specific examples. Republicans have put us in this place of a looming crisis. We can and should do what we've done numerous times before under Democratic and Republican administrations and pass a clean lifting of the debt ceiling. But to hold it hostage for a budget conversation is wrong, and the exact budget plan not being offered or suggested or considered, but passed by House Republicans would only make a horrible, horrible situation that much worse. We can outline further examples, but the examples most talked about, Social Security, Medicare, veterans benefits, despite the belly aching on the other side, are clearly on the chopping block. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much.